What I wish I knew about cruise ships before my first cruise. Are you nervous about your first cruise? Or maybe you've cruised before, but it's been a while, and now you're wondering if things have changed, if there's something you're forgetting, or worse, something nobody's warning you about. Well, this is the only video you need to watch before you board, because I'm going to walk you through everything I wish someone had told me before my very first cruise. Not just the obvious stuff, but the sneaky surprises, the rookie mistakes, and the real stories I've picked up along the way from cruisers who learned the hard way. Cruising can be one of the best experiences of your life if you know what you're doing. If you don't, you could end up stressed, embarrassed, or paying for things you didn't even realize weren't included. So let's get started with something nearly every first-time cruiser misunderstands. Tip number 1. That $499 cruise isn't really $499, it's not even close. I still remember the first time I saw that price. A full 7-night cruise for just $499? It sounded too good to be true. And in some ways, it was. See, that headline price? It's a starting point. It's not the total. I once spoke with a couple who booked that exact deal. They were thrilled, until they got to the end of the cruise and realized their final bill was nearly $4,000. They weren't big drinkers, didn't go wild shopping, and hadn't upgraded to a suite. They just didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't know that the price shown online doesn't include taxes and port fees. They didn't realize the price was per person and always based on 2 people sharing the cabin. They didn't factor in daily gratuities, Wi-Fi, drinks, or the cost of excursions. And they didn't realize how easy it is to spend money on board without even noticing, because everything gets charged to your cruise card until the very end. I call it the rule of 2.5. Whatever price you see when you book your cruise, double it, then add another half on top. That's usually the real number you'll end up paying. It doesn't mean cruising isn't a good value, it is. But going in blind? That's when things go off the rails. So if you're seeing those slick $399 or $499 deals floating around, just know, that's not your total, not even close. And trust me, it's a lot more fun to enjoy your cruise when you're not spending the last night staring at a bill you didn't expect. Tip number 2, motion sickness. What they don't tell you. This is the number 1 fear I hear from first-time cruisers. What if I get sick? What if I spend the whole cruise with my head in a toilet? Should I pack 10 boxes of seasickness pills or just cancel the trip altogether? Let me put your mind at ease. Modern cruise ships are massive. We're talking floating cities with stabilizers built into the hull that keep the ship surprisingly smooth. Most people don't feel a thing. Honestly, you're more likely to feel queasy on a fishing boat than a cruise liner. That said, there are moments when you might feel it. Usually, it's when the ship is sailing through open water on a windy night. Or maybe if you've booked a cabin right at the front or back where the motion is strongest. Some people say they feel it more in the theater. Others swear it's worse during dinner, although that might just be nerves. But here's the thing, no one tells you. If you do feel a bit off, it usually passes quickly. Your body adjusts. Most people feel fine by the second day. Sometimes even within a few hours. I met one woman who was so terrified of seasickness, she packed every remedy under the sun. Patches, tablets, ginger chews, bracelets, you name it. She was fully prepared, and she never felt a single wobble. Meanwhile, her husband laughed it off, brought nothing, and ended up lying on the bed groaning through half the second day. That's just how it goes. If you're worried, come prepared, but don't let the fear ruin your excitement. Keep something in your bag just in case, but odds are, you won't need it. And if you do, the onboard shops usually stock the basics. Cruising is meant to be relaxing. You'll feel the gentle sway now and then, but that's part of the charm. It's not like the Titanic. It's more like rocking in a hammock, with an all-you-can-eat buffet 30 steps away. Tip number 3. Cabin damage can cost you thousands. When most people book a cruise, they're focused on the fun, the balcony views, the unlimited food, the ports of call. They're not thinking, how much would it cost me if I spilled red wine on the carpet? But maybe they should be. Here's the thing about cruise cabins. They're clean, compact, and usually pretty sturdy. But if you damage one, you could be looking at a massive charge on your final bill. I heard about a family, lovely people, cruising with their kids for the first time. On day 3, they left the balcony door open to enjoy the breeze while they had a little snack. Their 6-year-old accidentally knocked over a bright red fruit punch, which spilled all over the light-colored carpet. They did what any parent would do. Tried to clean it with towels, patted it dry, and figured housekeeping would handle the rest. Well, the cruise line handled it all right. They were charged $1,700 for professional carpet restoration. Apparently, fruit punch stains require a full replacement if they can't be cleaned, and the replacement had to match the entire corridor. And that's not even the worst story I've heard. There was another passenger who packed duct tape for their luggage and for some reason decided to stick it to the wall above the bed to hang up a paper cruise itinerary. When they peeled it off at the end of the trip, it took the paint and part of the wall surface with it. $850 in damage fees. For one strip of duct tape. Most cruise lines don't mess around when it comes to cabin upkeep. These ships are booked solid week after week. They can't afford downtime for repairs. So if something gets stained, scratched, or ruined on your watch, it's coming out of your wallet. Here's the best advice I can give. Be careful with drinks in the room. Don't bring messy snacks or markers if you're traveling with kids. And never, ever stick anything to the walls. Also, if something does happen, tell your cabin steward early. If you try to hide it or pretend it didn't happen, that's when they get less forgiving. I'm not saying you have to treat your room like a museum, but if you wouldn't do it in a hotel or in someone else's guest room, don't do it in your cabin. Trust me, it's a lot more relaxing to leave the ship with good memories. Not a surprise charge on your credit card. Tip number 4. Don't pick the wrong cruise line or ship. This is one of those tips I didn't understand until I cruised a few times, and by then, I'd already gotten it wrong. Because here's the truth. Not every cruise is created equal. I once met a couple who had booked what they thought was a quiet, romantic anniversary trip. They didn't research the cruise line, didn't look into the ship, just saw a good deal and jumped on it. Turns out, they had unknowingly boarded a 3-night sailing out of Miami during spring break. By the second day, they'd been caught in 3 pool deck dance contests, 1 conga line, and a nightclub foam party. At breakfast, they asked their waiter, "Is it always this loud?" He just smiled and said, "Welcome to Carnival." Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. Carnival's known for being fun, affordable, and energetic. It's a great choice for families, groups, or anyone who loves a party. But if you were hoping for wine tastings and jazz music, you're going to be in for a shock. Each cruise line has its own personality. Some are all about adventure and activities. Some focus on food and relaxation. Others are more upscale or geared toward adults only. Even within the same line, ships can feel completely different. A newer ship might have skydiving simulators, robot bartenders, and roller coasters. An older one? Maybe a piano bar and some shuffleboard. There's nothing wrong with either, but you've got to know what you want. Here's the best way to figure it out. Go to the cruise line's website and look at the pictures. Pay attention to who's in them. If everyone looks like a 20-something in a bikini holding a cocktail, that's who the cruise is designed for. If it's couples enjoying spa treatments and sunset views, you're probably in for a calmer, more relaxed trip. I always tell people, the right cruise can feel like a dream vacation. The wrong one? Like you accidentally crashed someone else's party. So do a little homework before you book. Because your experience on board has a lot more to do with the ship than the itinerary. And if you get it right, you'll never want to vacation any other way again. Tip number 5. Wi-Fi isn't what it used to be. Ask anyone who cruised 5 or 10 years ago about cruise ship Wi-Fi, and they'll probably groan, roll their eyes, and say something like, "Yeah, good luck with that." And they're not wrong. Back in the day, cruise internet was, well, tragic. We're talking dial-up vibes at satellite prices. You'd pay $20 a day just to check your email, and even that was a gamble. But here's the good news. Things have changed, kind of. A lot of cruise lines now use satellite systems like Starlink, and the difference is honestly impressive, in most cases. You can scroll social media, message friends, even stream video on some ships. Now, notice I said some, because not every cruise line or ship is caught up with the times. I've been on newer ships where the Wi-Fi was fast enough to upload YouTube videos, and I've also been on upgraded ships where it took 20 minutes just to open Google. The trick? You've got to know what you're buying. There was this poor guy on our last sailing who booked the basic internet package thinking he'd be able to zoom into a meeting. He didn't read the fine print. That package only allowed messaging and browsing. He tried to hop on his call from his balcony, looking all professional in a button-up shirt, with board shorts. It froze 5 seconds in. By the time the screen unfroze, he had spilled his coffee, screamed at the seagulls, and said a few choice words that, let's just say, weren't exactly corporate-friendly, not realizing his mic hadn't been muted the whole time. So yeah, read the details before you buy an internet plan. And here's a little insider trick. If you're planning to use Wi-Fi on your cruise, buy it before you board. Most cruise lines offer a discount if you pre-purchase online. It's not massive, but hey, savings are savings. Another thing people forget, internet on sea days is usually slower. Why? Because everyone's on board trying to connect at the same time. So if you need to send photos or videos, try doing it first thing in the morning or late at night when everyone else is sleeping, or dancing in the nightclub. Oh, and don't forget to turn off automatic updates on your phone and apps. You don't want your phone eating up all your data in the background downloading the latest Candy Crush levels while you're just trying to message your mum. So yes, cruise ship Wi-Fi has come a long way, but it's still not perfect. And if your vacation plan includes TikToking every mojito or streaming Netflix while sunbathing, just make sure you pick a ship that can actually handle it. Or your cruise memories might include more buffering than beaches. Tip number 6. Boarding time mistakes can get you denied. Let me tell you a little story that still gives me secondhand stress. I once watched a guy, maybe mid-30s, looked like he ran straight from the airport, sprinting up to the terminal dragging his suitcase, sweat pouring down his face. He waved his cruise documents in the air, trying to catch his breath, yelling, "Wait, I'm here!" But it was too late. The doors were closed. The agents had left the desks, and the ship was finalizing check-in. He had shown up 45 minutes before sail away. Not check-in, sail away. He missed his cruise, and let's just say the next few days of his holiday were going to look a lot different than he'd planned. Now here's the thing. Your cruise documents will tell you what time the ship is sailing, but that is not the time you should arrive. Most cruise lines require passengers to check in at least 90 minutes to 2 hours before the scheduled sail-away time, and they mean it. They close the boarding process early so they can finalize the passenger manifest, do head counts, handle security, and prepare to sail. Once those systems are locked in, they're locked in. There's no begging your way on board, even if you're holding a fully paid ticket and your cabin is waiting. And no, they're not going to refund you. What's wild is how many people don't know this. I met a couple who thought, well, the ship doesn't leave until 5, so we'll grab a late lunch, do some shopping, maybe a massage. They rocked up around 4:15 with fresh smoothies in hand and got the surprise of their lives. But here's what's even sneakier. Some ships assign you a boarding time window, and that's different again from the final check-in cutoff. Your assigned boarding time helps space passengers out so things don't turn into a giant mob scene. If you show up too early, you might have to wait outside the terminal. If you show up too late, you might not get on at all. So what's the move? Arrive at the start of your assigned check-in window and aim to be at the port a solid 3 hours before sail away, just to be safe, especially if you're flying in or driving a long distance. Because trust me, it's way better to be sipping a cocktail on the Lido deck wondering when they're going to start the safety drill than standing outside a locked terminal holding your passport, wondering if you can Uber to the next port. Tip number 7. Your cabin bathroom will surprise you. Let's talk bathrooms. Now I know, it's not the most glamorous part of your cruise, but trust me, you're going to want to know this before you step foot in your cabin. Cruise ship bathrooms are functional. They get the job done, but they are nothing like hotel bathrooms. The first thing you'll notice? They're small. I mean, really small. You open the door, take one step, and you've already hit the wall. And if you're traveling with your partner and you both try to get ready at the same time, good luck. You're doing a slow dance around each other trying not to elbow anyone in the ribs. But the real star of the show, the one thing every first-timer talks about, is the toilet. It's not your average household flush. It's not even what you'd find in a plane. It's more like a miniature vacuum engine hiding in your bathroom wall. You press the button and whoomp! It sounds like the ship just launched a missile. It's loud, it's dramatic, and it will scare you the first time. I once talked to this guy who said he literally jumped the first time he flushed. He thought something broke. His wife thought it was part of the emergency alarm. They called guest services to ask if they did something wrong. Nope, just a normal flush. And don't even think about flushing anything other than what's supposed to go in there. Not tissues, not wipes, not makeup pads. The plumbing on cruise ships is very sensitive, and the last thing you want is to be that person who clogs the entire hallway's sewage system. It happens more often than you think. One poor woman flushed a cotton ball and ended up getting a visit from engineering. They had to take the panel off the wall. It was a whole thing. Now the shower? It's like washing yourself inside a phone booth. It usually has a curtain, not a door, and that curtain will absolutely try to cling to you like it's been abandoned at sea. There's no escape. You move one way, it follows. Turn around, and it's somehow wrapped around your leg. Some cruisers even pack shower curtain clips just to keep it from attacking them. But here's the good news. They're clean, they're well maintained, and the water pressure is usually decent. You'll adjust quickly. But just don't expect luxury spa vibes. Expect efficient, with sound effects. And hey, by the end of the week, that terrifying toilet flush becomes weirdly satisfying. Tip number 8. Your cruise card is your wallet now. If you're used to traveling with your wallet or handbag everywhere, this part of cruising might feel a little weird at first. Because once you step on board, your cruise card becomes everything. It's your room key. It's your credit card. It's your ID to get on and off the ship. It's what you show at restaurants, bars, casinos, even when you pick up towels by the pool. Forget it in your room? You're in for a long walk back. And here's where things get interesting. Because since everything is charged to that little card, it's dangerously easy to lose track of what you're spending. You don't see receipts piling up or cash leaving your hand, just a tap here for a drink, a swipe there at the gift shop, and maybe a cheeky flutter at the casino. I once met a guy who didn't realize the arcade charged to the cruise card. He let his 10-year-old loose with it one afternoon. 2 hours and 9,000 claw machine attempts later, they had racked up over $300 trying to win a stuffed avocado. They didn't even get the avocado. So yes, the card is convenient, but don't treat it like it's free money. You'll get the full bill on your last night, and if you're not paying attention, surprise! These days, some cruise lines are replacing cards with medallions or wristbands. Princess has these smart medallions that let your room unlock as you approach. Virgin Voyages gives you a sleek bracelet that does it all. Either way, you'll still want to keep it on you, and keep it safe. Now, here's a tip that might save you stress. Bring a lanyard or card holder that you can wear around your neck or clip to your bag. Some even come with waterproof cases for port days. It's much better than fishing through your pockets every 5 minutes. And whatever you do, don't lose your card. If you do, head straight to guest services. They can replace it, but you'll want to cancel the old one fast in case someone else picks it up. Because whether you're buying a drink, signing up for an excursion, or just trying to get back to your cabin after dancing all night, that little plastic card is your cruise life. Tip number 9. Most drinks aren't included, and that can sting. You've probably heard that food is included on a cruise, and that part is true. You can eat until your stretchy pants plead for mercy. But drinks, that's where things get sneaky. And I don't just mean cocktails. I mean soft drinks, bottled water, specialty coffees, even some juices. All of those? Not included on most mainstream cruise lines. I once met this lovely older couple, first-time cruisers, so sweet. And they had no idea. They just assumed everything was included. On the first day, they were ordering bottled water at the bar, grabbing sodas at lunch, and racking up specialty lattes from the cafe. By the end of day 3, they got their running balance printed out and nearly fainted. "Who drank 12 Sprites?" the husband asked. Turns out, he did. On most ships, you'll get free basic coffee, tea, tap water, and sometimes lemonade or iced tea in the buffet. But anything beyond that? It's going to show up on your bill. Which brings us to drink packages. These sound amazing, right? Pay a set fee, drink whatever you want, unlimited piña coladas? Count me in. Well, hold on a second. Drink packages come with strings. Some cruise lines require everyone in your cabin to buy the package if one person does. So if you want it but your partner doesn't drink, tough luck, you're both paying. And they're not cheap. It's not unusual to see packages running $70 to $100 per person per day. To break even, most passengers need to drink 6 to 10 alcoholic drinks a day. Some do, no judgment, but a lot don't, especially on port-heavy cruises when you're off the ship most of the day. I talked to one guy who thought he was outsmarting the system. He loaded up at breakfast with 4 mimosas, 2 Bloody Marys, and a double espresso martini, all before 11 a.m. Let's just say, He didn't make it to lunch. Or remember most of Jamaica. Here's my honest advice. If you drink moderately, skip the full package. You can always buy drinks a la carte, and most cruise lines let you bring on a bottle or two of wine on embarkation day. And whatever you do, check your receipt before you tip. Most drinks already have an automatic gratuity added. I've seen people accidentally double tip without realizing it until they saw the final bill. So yeah, drinks can definitely sting. But knowing this now means you can plan, save, and still sip something fancy by the pool, without needing a second mortgage by the time you get home. Tip number 10. Elevator drama and stair hacks. Here's something you'll learn quickly once you board. Cruise ship elevators have two speeds. Slow, and why is this not moving? Especially on embarkation day, disembarkation day, and right after dinner, you'll wait. And wait. And wait. It's not that there aren't enough elevators, it's that everyone's trying to use them at once, and there are a lot of decks, and most people are in vacation mode, so they're not exactly quick about it. I once saw a kid hit every single button on the way down from deck 14. His mum was mortified. The rest of us? Stuck in what felt like an elevator version of a city bus route. We hit every floor. Twice. But there are a couple of tricks to beating elevator madness and saving your sanity. First, avoid the midship elevators if you can. They're always the busiest because they're closest to the action, the atrium, the main dining rooms, the shows. Instead, head toward the aft, back, or forward, front elevators. They're usually much quieter, and you'll get where you're going faster. Second, if you're only going up or down a couple of decks, take the stairs. Trust me, it's usually faster, and you'll feel a tiny bit better about hitting the buffet 3 times a day. And if you're on a ship with 15 plus decks, and your cabin's on deck 6, think of it as built-in cardio. Now, disembarkation morning. That's when things get truly wild. Everyone's trying to get off the ship at the same time, with suitcases. Elevators get packed. People get cranky. It's chaos. I saw this poor woman with 2 huge bags and a toddler in a stroller trying to get from deck 9 to the gangway on deck 3. The elevators were full every time they opened. She ended up carrying her stroller and luggage down 6 flights, in heels. Don't be that lady. If you can manage your luggage, consider walking it off early. If not, just be patient, or enjoy one last coffee while the rush clears out. And a quick etiquette note. Always let people exit before you enter. It sounds obvious, but you'd be shocked how many people try to muscle their way on without letting others off first. It's not a race, unless you're late for trivia, in which case, fair enough. Bottom line? The stairs are your friend, the side elevators are a secret weapon, and avoiding peak elevator traffic might just save your mood and your knees. Tip number 11. Luggage. Bring it all, but should you? Here's one of the best things about cruising compared to flying. There are no luggage fees. You can bring 2 bags, 5 bags, your grandma's steamer trunk, and no one at the cruise terminal is going to weigh it or slap on a penalty fee. But just because you can bring it all doesn't mean you should. I once met a solo traveler who brought 3 full-size suitcases, a carry-on, and a garment bag for a 5-day cruise. She told me, "Well, I didn't want to decide outfits at home, so I brought options." Fair enough. But then came disembarkation morning. The elevators were jammed. She tried to carry it all down 5 decks using the stairs. By deck 2, she'd lost a sandal, nearly took out a guy in front of her, and had one bag literally roll itself into a corner and give up. So yes, overpacking is a very real thing. Here's the thing most people don't think about. Your cabin is not a walk-in closet. You have limited space, and that includes your luggage. Thankfully, most beds are designed with storage underneath. You can slide your suitcases right under there and keep the room from feeling like a storage unit. But still, pack smart. Think mix and match outfits, re-wearing basics, and packing cubes if you're into that sort of thing. And plan for your embarkation and disembarkation days. When you board, your main luggage might not arrive at your cabin until late afternoon or evening. So keep a carry-on bag with essentials, medication, chargers, documents, maybe a change of clothes or swimwear if you want to hit the pool early. And on the way off, you've got 2 choices. Self-disembarkation, where you carry your own luggage off the ship, or assisted disembarkation, where you leave your bags outside your door the night before and they're delivered to the terminal for you. Self-disembarkation sounds tempting until you're hauling a 23-kilogram suitcase down a staircase in flip-flops while trying not to spill your travel coffee mug. So yes, bring what you need. But remember, there's laundry on board, there's storage under the bed, and no one cares if you wear the same dinner shirt twice, except maybe the guy in the photography section who'll catch it in your pictures. So rotate wisely. Tip number 12. Formal night isn't that formal. When I booked my first cruise, I'll be honest, I had no idea what formal night actually meant. I pictured tuxedos, gowns, fancy ballroom music. I imagined myself in a rented James Bond suit, holding a martini while whispering, "shaken, not stirred," to the bartender. Spoiler alert, that's not what happened. On most mainstream cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian, formal night is more like, "please don't wear your gym clothes" night. Sure, some people go all out. I've seen couples dressed to the nines, matching black tie outfits, heels that could double as weapons, and sequins that sparkle like a disco ball under the dining room lights. And hey, if that's your vibe, go for it. You'll look amazing in your photos. But if you're not into that, you'll still fit in just fine. For guys, a collared shirt and slacks is more than enough. A blazer if you want to look sharp. Ladies, a nice dress, jumpsuit, or even a dressy blouse and pants. It's basically like dressing for a nice dinner out, not the Oscars. Now, things you shouldn't wear? Baseball caps, flip-flops, ripped jeans, swimwear. Yes, someone always shows up in one of those. No, they're not turned away, but they do get that look from every table they pass. There's also something oddly charming about how many couples use formal night as date night. You'll see people holding hands, toasting over lobster tails, and posing for those cheesy but awesome cruise portraits in front of backdrops with waves or staircases or sparkly curtains. I remember talking to a couple who had been cruising together for over 20 years. They said they always bring one formal outfit each, same ones every time. And every cruise, they take a photo in the same pose. They had a full wall of them at home, one from every ship. Same pose, same outfit, just a little older and a little happier in each one. So no, formal night isn't scary. It's fun, it's optional. And it's a great excuse to look nice, take a few photos, and enjoy a meal that feels just a little more special. Unless you're the guy who thought formal meant wearing his tuxedo t-shirt, bold move, honestly, respect. Hey, before we get to the last two, I just want to say thank you. Seriously, if you've made it this far into the video, it means a lot. I know there are so many cruise videos out there, and the fact that you're still here, watching this one, it really does mean the world to me. If you've learned something new today, or if this video helped you feel a little more confident about your upcoming cruise, I'd be so grateful if you gave it a like. And if you haven't already, I'd love to have you subscribe. It helps this little channel reach more people, and it keeps me going so I can keep making videos like this for you. And here's a fun little thing. If you made it all the way to this part of the video, drop the words "cruise for you" in the comments. That way, I'll know you were one of the legends who stuck around, and I'll personally come thank you in the replies. All right, deep breath. We've saved two of the most important ones for last. Tip number 13. If you miss the ship, it's game over. This one's a little dramatic, but for good reason. Because unlike a bus, or a train, or even a flight, your cruise ship will not wait for you. The schedule is tight, the port authorities run on the minute, and once that all-aboard time hits, the gangway is up and the ship is gone. And yes, it happens to people all the time. I once watched it play out right in front of me. We were docked in Cozumel, the sun was setting, and the horn had already blown. Everyone was leaning over the railings, drinks in hand, watching the last few passengers hustle back. And then we saw them. Two people sprinting down the pier, bags flapping, waving their arms in the air. Too late. The security team was already pulling the bridge in. They stopped at the edge, totally out of breath, eyes wide as the ship slowly drifted away. Everyone on deck? Cheering. Some people clapped. One guy yelled, "You had one job." It was funny and brutal. Turns out they got distracted at a tequila tasting downtown and lost track of time. They had to book a hotel that night, then buy emergency flights to try and catch up with the ship at the next port. That little detour cost them over $700. And trust me, cruise lines aren't obligated to help you in that situation. If you're late, you're on your own. They'll hold your passport at the port office, but they won't hold the ship. So how do you avoid becoming a pier runner? It's simple. Get back early. If your all-aboard time is 4:30, plan to be back by 3:30. Port clocks and ship clocks don't always sync, especially if your phone updates automatically. I've seen phones switch to local time and confuse passengers completely. One smart traveler told me he always wears a simple analog watch on cruises. No time zone shifts, no digital drama. Just ship time. Every time. Because once those engines fire up, there's no begging your way back on board. You'll be waving from the dock, with a front row seat to the cruise you just missed. Tip number 14. Why you'll keep cruising, even if you thought you'd hate it. Let's end on something honest. I wasn't sure I'd love cruising when I first tried it. I thought it was for retirees, or families, or people who like routines and group activities. I didn't think it was for someone like me, but that first trip, it completely changed my mind. There's something about being out on the open ocean, waking up in a new place every morning, meeting people from all walks of life, and doing it all at your own pace. You can be as active or as relaxed as you want. You can try something new every day, or do absolutely nothing at all. And there's a kind of magic in knowing that everything is taken care of: food, travel, entertainment, the works, so you can actually unplug for once. I met a grandma once who told me she was terrified of cruising. Her kids talked her into it. She cried the first night because she felt overwhelmed. By the end of the week, she was dancing on deck at the 80s party, drinking margaritas, and had already booked her next cruise before we even disembarked. That's the thing. Cruising sneaks up on you. You go in curious, maybe skeptical, and by the end, you're already planning the next one. So if you're about to cruise for the first time, or it's been a while, just know, you're about to join a club that you didn't even realize you wanted to be part of. And once you're in, you'll get it.